This is a gear pouch from Roaring Fire. I actually brought some knives with me, and I wanted to talk about Tantos. Some of my favorite Tantos. Now, this one is the SHADOWFIRE. And you know, with Tantos, like I really like Tantos. I love Tantos. I do think that there's some blade shapes in many cases that are better. Oh man, this thing is so smooth. In some cases, there are some blade shapes that might be better, but when a Tanto is done well, man, they work very, very well. They have, in many cases, a nice, strong, stout tip for poking. This one has a dual grind in 20 CV, a hollow here and then a flat up here. Beautiful titanium frame lock, titanium hardware, good access to the lock bar, completely drop shutty. The detent and the flipper tab is mini or minimal, but it flips really good. And the ergonomics, man, this thing is so good. I say, like, if you really like the REEVE K2 but can't get it because they're like nearly impossible to get, check out the SHADOWFIRE. It's really, really good, and it holds a lot of the same qualities as the REEVE. Next one is the Bestech Teetus. Oh man, I freaking love this thing. This thing's chunky, it's big, it's tactical, it's tough. It has this, you know what, actually, just to show people that's not failing. I know somebody's testing knives right now, and a lot of them are failing, so I figured I'd show you guys. Now this one has a super deep hollow grind here. You can see the difference in thickness. Now this one is what blade steel? M390 steel. So it has M390 with a dual grind, flat grind up here, but this is still a very pokey tip, and you see how it drops down. So utility cuts are great. This is an extremely useful Tanto. This area right here, it's nice and straight, so when you're slicing, it traps the material, because the material, you know, it's harder for it to get over that hump right there, so it traps it. The bolsters are titanium over steel liners. Beautiful micarta. I love this micarta. This clip is one of their best working clips. I freaking dig it. The crossbar lock, while it doesn't have a strong detent, you know, it does have nice grippiness around the thumb disc, and the crossbar lock is very easy to get to. And you can see it is just fall shut, like complete fall shut. Very, very, very smooth. And you know, it's easy to flick, manipulate, very comfortable in the hand. This is an amazing user. I love even just the shape of this handle, how it, you know, how it sits your hand, or how your hand sits around it. It just works so good. Beautiful choil, or plunge grind, I should say. Poltergeist works. Love what they do. You can see they have like the see-through hardware. You can see it's minimal hardware, but very, very well built and very toughly built. Now, this next one is one of my favorites. Just, I love the look of it. I love the flipper tab, dual ground, harpooned, dual ground Tanto. Look at that thing. It is just gorgeous. Beautiful satin. We have titanium scales with some of my favorite micarta inlays. Look at that. Oh, it's like polished. You can see how good a quality the micarta is by the fibers and the pattern of the fibers, how they're very consistent. The titanium is contoured and melted in all the right areas. I'm not a big fan of the clips on the spine. I wish it was more centered, but you know, it is what it is. Lanyard pin back there. Good access to the lock bar, because their steel lock bar insert actually comes out right here. And it uses a detent nub instead of a detent ball, which is on the steel lock bar insert. You can reverse flick, but you have to smash your finger in there to get it. The flipper tab, you know, it's a pokey flipper tab for push buttoning, but because of the detent nub, it makes it to where before it ever even hurts you when you're pushing it, it fires like super rapid, and you can easily light switch it. Not a big knife. I'd love to get one of these in a full size, but the next one is the Apex. Now this one you can get, and you can get it in a drop point or a Tanto. I chose to keep my Tanto, and I gave away the drop point. Man, I love the way Sharp by Design's Tantos are, and it's got a drop point, pretty aggressive, almost Americanized Tanto with the dual grind. Again, it's got the detent nub on the steel lock bar insert. The clip, I hate the clip. That's my biggest complaint because you do feel it in the hand quite a bit because it's on the spine, even higher than the last one. But all in all though, the reverse flick, because of the detent nub from Sharp by Design creates one of the best detents you can get on a knife. Just absolutely amazing. And I do freaking love this knife, like a lot. And I think it's a sexy looking knife. It's amazing. So now, because I'm out of town, I don't have some knives that I would like to have here to represent a good Tanto. I do think that Cold Steel does one of the best Tantos you can buy on a knife, period, from the Code 4 to many of their models. You know, I'm not going to go through them all, but they have models where you can get different blade shapes, and their Tantos are some of the best, especially with the dual grinds. They're an Americanized Tanto, which is personally my favorite kind of Tanto, even though some Japanese style Tantos where it's more rounded is not, you know, I do like those too, where it's more rounded here instead of perfectly straight. You know, it's like a modified Japanese Tanto. This is the Chris Reeve Sebenza, and I know it's a drop point, it's not a Tanto. However, I don't have their Tanto version, but they do one of the best Tantos you can buy. The Chris Reeve Knives Tanto is an extremely well done Tanto. It has I believe they're convexed up in the front area, which, you know, I've sharpened a couple of them, and that's how I sharpen them back. I usually do a V grind in the flat area, and then a convexed in the nose area to add a little bit more toughness, even though it's already plenty tough. But I had to bring that one up just because it's so iconic. And then the next one, I don't have it, but I have had it, and that was the MEDFORD Slim MIDI in the Tanto. MEDFORD does a really good job with their Tantos, and the Slim MIDI is probably one of, if not my favorite Tanto that they do. It's a titanium frame lock. This one's an S35VN. You can see it's got the falling leaf pattern. Beautiful pattern. This one's been used a lot, sharpened a lot. It is a hollow ground drop point, but the Tanto comes in a dual ground Tanto. They have a nice sound, great detent, fantastic reverse flick action, ball bearing pivot, so very smooth. My one complaint is the lock bar access. I still should cut mine in, but yeah, man, I freaking dig the Slim MIDI. Love it. And then the last one we're going to talk about is the Microtech Socom Elite, which you can, I believe, get right now. I believe these ones are available, the all blacked out versions, and you can get the plain edge. You can get, I think there's a clip point version and a Tanto version available right now. And these things, you know, they go fast. When they come around, they go fast because they are so iconic. This knife has been around for a long time because it's just virtually indestructible. It has Americanized Tanto, but the Tanto clips down right here, so the tip is very easy to jam into things or use for utility cuts. Pronounced secondary tip. This one's in 204p, and it actually gets down to 15 thousandths behind the edge, but it's got like I think it's 187 thousandths blade stock thickness, super thick blade. So it's like made for like prying and stuff. I'm not telling you to pry with your knife, but they're basically a folding pry bar with a very sharp edge. Now, the access to the lock bar is really good. You can see it is on ball bearings, extremely smooth. And then the thumb stud action is so good because these are huge thumb studs that are also the stop pin. They give you this ramp, so you basically just slide your finger up the ramp and just kick it like that, and man, it works so good, especially when you've had it for a little bit and you get used to it. You realize, like, just damn it, how good these thumb studs are compared to so many others. At first you get it and you've heard the hype, so you're like, they're just thumb studs. But then after you've had them for a little while, you hear that thwack. You can feel that kick. You know, it's almost like it has recoil when you open it. Glass breaker on the back or attitude adjuster. The jimping and the grip is in all the right places. You know, you feel like you can do just about anything with this, you know, like it's built for combat, you know. And I consider this a modern day tactical folding knife that's done very well. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the clip configuration. It's done like that so that you can easily pull it out of your pocket and get to the stud and rapidly deploy it. So you're basically not climbing up to deploy. That's the reason why you can get the newer versions that are done by Reich with the clip down here. But anyways, freaking love the Socom Elite. So there you guys go. I love you guys. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.